Good evening. A suave, intelligent, a spiritual and activist lawyer, Joash Mayanja Nkangi might be in the evening of his life, but his memory remains intact. Season of Buganda's aristocracy, Nkangi served as Katikkiro of Buganda at a very difficult time. He also later served as finance minister in the NRM government. On the spotlight is Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi. Good evening, Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi. We are so humbled and delighted to have you on the short night. You're on the spot.
Thank you for having me. I'm really, honored to be here.
Tomorrow, Uganda marks 53 years of independence.
Yes.
But with a man like you, we think you can take us through the journey of Uganda. But let me begin on that day, the euphoria that swept across Uganda on the eve of independence, as this country was breaking away from the yoke of British imperialism. How did it feel on your side as a young man then?
It was a sort of, for me, a very emotionally charged moment. I'll tell you why. I was not present in 1894, April, when Sir Gerald Portal hoisted the British Union Jack, Kampala Mukade, old Kampala. I wasn't there. But on the night of 1968 October, I was standing at one side of the corner of that Kololo airstrip. And I saw the Union Jack coming down and our own flag going up. I said to myself, what is going to happen? Although I had been from 1960 agitating for the British to go, indeed earlier than that. In 1952, when I was still a Macquarie student, the governor at the time, Sir Andrew Cohen, exiled the Kabaka for reasons which were in fact legally wrong, because later the Buganda brought a case against the British government and they won. So the Kabaka came back. But I'm saying that I thought, what is going to happen now that the British have gone? And I wanted them to go. I didn't know the answer. 2 years afterwards, about 1964, I started to see the answer. The government sent some, I think they were soldiers of, police people from prisons. The government sent some of those people to Nakurabie, a private club, people dancing. But because they see someone sort of squabbled with his girlfriend and someone was killed there.
The British government or the new government?
No, our own.
Your own government?
1964, the British
the Nakurabie massacre.
Precisely. So it started. I started to see what I did not know on the night of 1962.
There were other intricate problems which were yet to be resolved in Uganda. For instance, the question of the federal status in Buganda. Buganda wanted a special status. For instance, Mengo wanted its representative to be appointed, yet the government was talking about universal adult suffrage.
Now you see, by 1962, 9th October, when we got our own independence, the question of the form of government for Uganda had been settled, at least in principle and constitutionally. Because in 1961, there was a conference in Lancaster, in Britain, and every part almost, governments, Bwakabaka, Obukama, all those, they sent delegates to that conference. And there it was decided the form of government, semi-federal. I say semi-federal because some of the parts of Uganda, mainly the kingdoms, they wanted to have their own authorities over matters affecting them. The other areas, they said, no, you governor, just look after us. The British have been doing whatever they do. They would have a provincial provincial district commissioner. That's what they wanted in Gulu, in whatever. The Baganda, the Batoro, the Bonyoro, all these, Nkole, Umugabe, they wanted federal, meaning Some of the things will be done in Kampala, the center, like defense, finance. But in Yankole,
you have some kind of authority.
Precisely, there are things.
Center,
and this was the history. When the British came here in 1894, Kabaka was there, Buganda was there, all these states were there. And then there was no Uganda in the formal sense in 1894. 1897, the first sort of British commissioner or governor came. 1897, he went to Entebbe. 1900, the British made an agreement with the Baganda, the Kingdom of Buganda, because Toro, whatever, they were not part of the whole thing. When they made that agreement, I think article either 3 or 5 said, when we found, that's the British, new territories, they will be equal in status with the Buganda. The Buganda said, okay. Now, that was, it started like that. The problem is in 1961, a federal constitution for Uganda was made.
But look at what happened at the Lancaster talks in England, and
Yes.
The issues of Bunyoro were unresolved. Actually, Bunyoro walked out of the talks because they wanted the counties of Buyaga and Bugangaizi. That caused a lot of trouble. You never attended the Lancaster conference?
No, I didn't attend because the governor at the time, I think you on the orders of the colonial secretary, looking after the colonies and protectors, they asked political parties, at least the major ones, to send delegates. So the my party was not then asked to go, but Uganda People's Congress, UPC sent, the DP sent, and I think there were only two of them. But then apart from the political parties, then you had Buganda sent delegates, Bunyoro, Busoga, all these districts. So people went there now. When they got there, I understand. Now, Bunyoro had for many years been looking for the return of some of its territories. But the history of Bunyoro is just like the history of some of the European countries. At one time, Bunyoro's territory spread to as far as
Northern Tanzania.
Precisely. But because when you take over a country by force, they fight back also. It's the whole thing now. Now Bunyoro becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Now at that conference, they said, let's have our
counties back.
At least 12 them, because they had more. Like Singo, Bulgaria, they're asking all of this. But they fought. With the Uganda took them away. Now, this is the issue of I understand, the referendum. It's not only Bunyoro which walked out, but who walked out. The late Michael Kintu, I'm told, who was the Katikkiro of Buganda at the time, he walked out of the conference. And I'm told the reason was that he asked the colonial secretary, he said, talk about giving away Bunyoro, Buyaga, just like taking my jacket. Would you do that? So he walked out.
So, and the issue of those lost counties was so sensitive that it spilled over into the politics or the leadership of Buganda Kingdom and cost Michael Kintu, the Katikkiro, then his job. But at that point, the Kabaka appointed you Katikkiro, a young man on a job that was so sensitive. I mean, why would the Kabaka appoint you in that position at a very sensitive moment in Uganda and Uganda's history?
Now let me tell you something. I don't know, but God knows. Because you see, the Katikkiro, Michael Kintu, I understand he had given some money, campaigning money, for them to go and do what? Get votes in Buyaga. And those people used the money to vote in Buganda instead to vote a campaign against him. You see the morals of this thing. They used the money instead of campaigning in Bunyoro, they campaigned against this man here. So when Buganda lost the what do you call it? The referendum, all right, in November, these people turned around and said, you see, he's a failure, and he was removed. So at that time the question said, the Lukiko, which I think about 91 people there, they would give the Kabaka 3 people, 3 names. So then he would choose one of them, whoever it was. Understand that when the Chief, which had 91 people there, when they voted, they gave me about 76 votes. And my other people, about, I think it was Mulira, is now dead, and Mukasa, who was secretary of the Kabaka, was one of the 4, and then Masembe Kabali. So, but I got the highest votes. So now the question said, you give, that's Likiko, you give the Kabaka 3 names. He chooses, not necessarily who's got the highest votes, but one of them. So I got that one of them. I understand, you see, that when Mutesa, the Katikkiro, Michael Kintu, when he lost the post in Likiko, he went to I wasn't there, to hear. So when he went there, the Kabaka, I understand, asked him, now, Buganda has rejected you. Who do you give me? And I understand the Katikkiro said, the one I would give you, or I would have given you, you will not accept him. You won't accept him. He said, why not? He's young. I was 30, the 60th, I was just 33. Now people there, the Katikkiro used to be 50, 60. He's young. So at 33, I'm young. Then he said, what other reason? Kabaka asked him, oh, he's not married. And he said, who is it? Mayanja Nkangi. And that's why the Kabaka said, oh, when I became Kabaka, was I married?
That's what he asked.
That's what I'm told. So he saw that those reasons were not good enough for me not to become Katikkiro. So he gave me the leadership of become Katikkiro of Buganda, highest votes. But had I, about say 2 weeks before, taken men like you, 20 of them, big spears, whatever, gone through into the palace. Yeah, precise. No, just go into the palace. Kabaka would not have given me the Katikkiro-ship. He would have said, you people in Chiko, you don't know this man. At one time he came to attack my palace at night. So you see, but I had been a fairly good man, and I had not.
So at the age of 33, Joash Mayanja Nkangi is given the Damula, and the position of authority in Buganda. That is just one step before the Kabaka. I mean, it must have been a heavy weight on you, heavy load on you, given the fact that earlier we had seen some political alliances. Many scholars have called them unholy alliances, where we saw Bilton Obote and the Kabaka Mutesa ally the Kabaka Yekka. These looked like strange bedfellows. Was that really purely for defeating the DP leader Benedict Kwanuka?
Now let me tell you this. Politically, I had my own political party, smallish initially, Uganda National, movement, positive movement, I'm just forgotten now. But this question of alliances, that alliance was conceived, I think, in Lancaster, because when the Katikkiro moved out of the conference, I understand that the colonial secretary spoke to Kabaka. Speak to your prime minister. Let it come back. Let's finish all these things. The Kabaka maybe talked to him, but the Katikkiro was adamant. But I understand that Dr. Obote himself spoke to Katikkiro and said, but look, we are all the same people. Who is going to bring up this sort of thing when we go back there? You know what? That's what he told him. So the Kabaka, you come back to the conference. He went back, the Katikkiro went back to the conference, and so we got this conference, the federal 1932 semi-federal constitution. But it had been passed also. It was known that there would be a referendum. But the Katikkiro at that time was made to think by Obote that it would be, whatever they would play it in such a way that Buganda did not lose the counties.
So was he being hoodwinked?
Precisely, from what I can see. They come here, back, elections take place, a referendum in those 2 counties, and partly because Michael Kintu did not have people to do the conference, or the votes in Bunyoro and Rubiaga, he lost. All right, Buganda lost. But part of the reason he was played tricks. He was made to think by Obote, from what I last time, because I already speak about it. But I thought I was given to understand. This thing won't come. Don't worry about it. Who's going to be pushing for this? But he pushed for it. So, when I went to Mengo, by that time, Makio had been minister in Obote's government from 62 to 64. But you see, this alliance of Kabaka Yekka was part of the Kabaka Yekka and the UPC. This was done, I think really, it was done. I was not part of the people who did it, but I think it was to defeat DP. But from the figures in the election of April 19, I think it was April 1962, right, before it became independent, DP got 37 votes outside of Buganda. UPC got 24. We, Kabaka Yekka, we were sort of elected by the Katikkiro in Mengo, 24 of us. Now that made simple arithmetic. That made 44. So Museveni, Dr. Obote could become the first prime minister of independent Uganda. Who made him? Buganda. But then he turned around us, against us, I mean.
So in 1966, yes, the alliance crumbled in a spectacular way with the raid on the Luviri.
It did.
And some say it was the aggression of the Obote government, while others say it was the Buganda supremacists.
No.
What happened?
I tell you what happened. At least what I know this side, because I was Katikkiro at the time. In February, maybe around about 25, whatever, February of 1966, a friend of ours was David Ocheng, who was one of us, one of Kabaka Yekka. He was an Acholi, but he went to King's College. But he knew more Uganda than myself. So he came to me at Katikkiro, where that's Katikkiro's residence in Mengo. He said to me, Katikkiro, I want to move a motion in Parliament to say that precisely, so that Obote and Colonel Amin, they were sort of engaged in fishy engagements, using gold and things like that. The Parliament should vote them out of.
That's the Congo gold scandal.
Precisely. Being a lawyer, I said to him, but where is the evidence? Do you have the evidence? He said, yes. What is this evidence? He said, how can Colonel Amin, we know the money he gets us his salary. Every month, how can he have that much money on his bank accounts? So I said, all right, if you got your evidence, you go ahead. He went to Parliament. We used to call it National Assembly. He moved the motion, and the motion was passed by Parliament. Not by Kabaka Yekka, but by the DP, by the UPC, many of them. So when it was passed, that was a Friday. Over the weekend, Obote thought what to do. He turned against the Kabaka, who was then president, and against the Kyabazinga of Busoga, William Nadiope, who was vice president. Tuesday, Wednesday, he became, it was a coup d'etat.
Okay.
Now, some people say the Waganda, separatists, whatever. After that, February, we went to Mengo. We passed at least 2 resolutions. We said, dear Dr. Obote, President, whatever, you've overturned the Constitution. Please have the Constitution as towards United States Constitution.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I just want to ask, because there are those who say that you supported a radical group in Buganda that was actually calling for the separation of Buganda from Uganda. When we come back, we'll start from there. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi, who is a senior citizen in this country and has served Uganda well for the last so many years. There are people who claim, Honorable Joash, that you supported a resolution which was the handwork of radicals in Buganda that were calling for the separation of Buganda from Uganda. And that could have been the reason why we saw the storming of the Lubiri and all that. Is this true?
It's utterly untrue. And I'll tell you why. I knew in my heart of hearts that the era of small states, Monaco, Switzerland, unless you keep your money there and see your bank, so you won't destroy it, is gone. What we did was, in Mengo, a fellow called George Kagwa, representing Koki, one of the counties, right? He came to Katikkiro and moved this motion, saying, Dr. Obote, you breached the Constitution, this date, on that date, with that date. Now, you should remove your government from the soil of Buganda Kingdom. That was the Constitution, his motion. So that was, it was debated at around 12 o'clock. I asked the Speaker, could we please have a sort of adjournment for about 30 minutes, come back later. They had a reason for it. So he said, all right. I used that time, I went to my office, Katikkiro's office. I invited Kagwa to come to my office. Then I said to him, you are saying that Obote should remove his government from the soil, Buganda soil. Supposing he says no, what are you going to do? I said, no, just talking politics. You know, I said, I know about it because I've served under him. Then I said to him, let me amend this constitution, this motion. How? I said, I said, we are going to say,
it's okay.
That in February you fixed a coup d'etat. In April, on the 15th of April, this is the date of the Pigeonhole Constitution. You remember that one? On the 15th of April, Obote went to Parliament, and what he did under the Constitution, what he called the Pigeonhole Constitution, under the 1962 Constitution, independence, Buganda had 7 ministries. 7. On April the 15th, he just chopped them off, left 3 ministries. Katikkiro, Mwanika, Mulamuzi. As they were under, say, Kabaka Mwanga. The 4 ministries, the education, local government, health, there was another one. He chopped them up. Who did he ask for it? Because he was strong. So we did not like it.
Was an executive prime minister.
Precisely. But without constitutional powers to do that. So we said, again we passed another revolution, another motion in Katikkiro. This is wrong of you. Don't do it. Reverse the whole thing. He refused. So people got angry. So when Kagwa comes this time to say, you remove your government from the Buganda soil, people were angry.
It reached that level.
It did. But
that's why they said some people were wanted to be superior of the other.
But
the Buganda supremacy.
Precisely. But I was not part of them. I asked Kagwa to let me modify the motion. And he said yes. Because I said, Dr. Obote, whatever your government, if you don't return to the 1962 Constitution, right, independence Constitution, Buganda will think itself, think over the whole matter. Do what? Go on a sort of a hunger strike or what? I was leaving it that vague. This Kagwa agreed. Oh yes, I agree with this one. He went down, he left me in my office. He went down there in Katikkiro and he spoke to some people. Some of them were Southern chiefs, were sort of radicals ones. And he spoke to them. I come down at 2:30. The debate resumes. I speak. Do you know who first opposed me? Kagwa himself. It's what it is. Incredible. And so, but let me also tell you why you are saying to Obote's government, remove your government from Buganda soil. It was because under the 1962 Constitution, the central government owed Buganda 1 shilling. One nominal lease. one shilling a year because of the land here.
Of the land.
So nominally, this land here belonged to Buganda. So they said, you remove your government. But every time I said, but the thing is, I knew that would not work. And I think they were using, those people that side, they were using the history, which was the wrong one. In 1958, I think, somewhere there when Katikkiro Michael Chintu was still there, the Kiko at that time, they passed a resolution saying, we've now, Buganda is going short, independent. The British, the governor in Entebbe, invited the Katikkiro, said, what is this now? I understand the Katikkiro told that was politics. So you see, the British government never moved against Bengo. They did not know that Obote wanted something else.
Okay, let us now come to our situation. Today, that history seems to continue to haunt Uganda. We see a country that has never had a peaceful transition of power, without even a clear transitional plan. Do you think the post-independence history could come back to haunt us, even 50 years later?
Post-independence, you know, I want to write a book.
You want to write a book?
God will help me.
What would be the title?
The title would be, I'll say this first of all in Latin, Ex Imperio in Servitium, out of empire into servitude.
Oh,
servitude.
No. Servitude.
Servitude.
Out of empire into servitude. So we have actually gone into we're doomed.
Not now. I'm not now. I'm talking about, for instance.
Yeah, but we moved out of the empire in 1962, but we have fallen into servitude.
Precisely.
This is what is happening now.
Not now. There's a time element. Because I think between 1962 and the governments in between there, Obote's government, attack on Mengo, incidentally, some people say the Baganda were the villains of the peace. That's why their kingdom was removed. I asked the question, what did the Banyoro do? But Obote removed the Obukama. What did the Batoro do? He removed the Obukama. Omugabe Nkole, he removed that as well. He had a plan. It's not just Baganda.
Collective punishment.
No, not a collective punishment. He wanted to become the
man.
The man. That is all. And he used this sort of Buganda as an excuse.
But don't you see that history almost playing itself in the present day Uganda? Especially the lack of that transitional leadership of power that we have not seen as a country. Doesn't it bother you? For a man who has served the country so well for the last 50 years, never to see that peaceful transition of power?
It bothers me in the sense that when we elect governments, we don't seem to think much about policies. But you elect him because you've got a nice nose or things like that, or give you some sort of sugar. All right? The important thing in Uganda here, which is bothering me, the people who vote governments do not seem to think seriously about policies and about the ability of those people they vote into government to put into effect those policies. As long as we vote people like that, I mean in that way, you won't get a good government.
So you're saying the people, in fact the Constitution says, Article 1 says power belongs to the people.
Precisely.
They seem not to have exercised their power like it should be.
They don't seem to understand what it means to elect someone into power to direct the fortunes, you see, of that country. This is the problem. But whose problem? Whose fault? We also, then the educational system, you see, is part of it. The moral structures.
Talk about the moral structure. You served in the cabinet of President Museveni as Minister of Finance
For 16 years.
Until he retired for 16 years.
No.
Eh.
I served the Minister of Finance for 6 years, but I was saying other ministries as well, 16
a total
years.
of 16 years.
Yeah.
Many of your colleagues, including former premiers Kintu Musoke, Professor Apollo Nsivambi, have since retired.
Right.
Other young people, relatively young, like Kano Kiza Besije,
Right.
Muntu, Matembe, Kazoras, Bukenya, now former Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi, have showed flack towards the current leader.
They have done what?
They have showed some kind of disagreement
with him.
And do you think Uganda is politically at a crossroad?
You see, agreeing and disagreeing is part of nature with the people. But I think these people, the doctors and Mbabas, all these people, first, they've got a right to disagree with the leader, not Obote, Museveni, all right? But if they did not disagree, it would be, for me, unusual. When you are
if they did not disagree, it would be unusual.
Unusual.
Why is that?
Because if you are in a government, someone says, let's have this, the first thing is, yes, maybe it's right. But you've got to ask yourself, what is he saying? Is it right? If it's not right, then you say, no, I object to this. Why? Once you start that, you have to debate that issue until one way or the other you
But let me ask you a very personal question, because some of the people who have moved with the group that has disagreed with the current leadership include members of your own family.
No, none.
They don't?
Members of my own family? Who?
I thought
you are talking about, let me tell you.
Yes. When you were at the dinner table.
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Josephine is aged about 40. All right? Which I'm saying this to say to you
yes.
that she's not a baby.
I know.
All right? And I would not want any of my children not to think themselves. She may have thought, moved on, but what I know as a matter of fact, she went to the Ministry of Prime Minister under contract. Under contract, not politics, as a contract. And when the former Prime Minister, Amama Mbabazi, was removed from that post, my daughter's contract was never renewed. So she had the problem of having a job. So he knew this fellow gave her a job. That's all I know. But I don't know about the politics of saying that. But as far as I'm concerned, I tell you this much. I started the Conservative Party in 1980. I started it when the president started UPM, right? I am still conservative.
I asked this, maybe thinking probably at one time at the dinner table, you could have discussed this as well.
No, my dear. I am a conservative and I started the Conservative Party. I'm still part of that. So, but what I'm saying, at the same time, any of my children, there are 5 of them, they should have a right to think about politics of this country the way they want.
What advice would you give the leadership today if you are asked to advise them?
About what?
Leadership. We seem to have a leadership problem, don't we?
No.
Transition.
No. There's no problem about leadership. The government is there, and the people are capable of leading this country are there. The question is policies. The policies which govern the country. Now let me tell you something which sort of worries me. When I was still chairman of the Uganda Land Commission, at around 5 p.m. one day, it was raining. I got in my car, my driver was driving, go back to Ntinda. Somewhere along Jinja Road, the vehicle was stopped because of the jam, traffic jam. So I sat there, I saw in front of me a vehicle, Toyota, from Japan, another one from Japan. On this side of my side in the vehicle, a motorcycle, again from Japan.
You are immersed in Japanese cars.
Then this side passed a bicycle. My father in Kamasaka, where I come from, I grew up on that bicycle. It was not made here. It had been made in India. Then my heart said to me, do you know what? Even the pins you use to get your jiggers out of your feet, you people, these come from China. Then I said to myself, what is Ugandan about me after about 50 years?
What is Ugandan about you?
About me. It was only this, what Nantali, my mother, gave me. You see, I felt terrible. So let me tell you something. Tomorrow, I hope to be there. The independence will be celebrated in Gulu. But if I were to be cheeky and go there and say, Mr. President, sir, I've got there 10 baskets, they're all empty, right? Mm-hmm. But ask anybody who's got anything on his body, right, where he's wearing anything, which is not made in Uganda, take it off, put it in that basket.
Oh my God, what are you talking about?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. The things
you tell the people at Gulu Stadium.
No, I asked not to.
Ask the president. The
president said, I said,
whoever is putting something
anything with rings or socks or whatever underwear, and it's not made in Uganda.
Do you know what would that mean?
I don't know.
You see a sea of nakedness.
Precisely.
Including the Most High.
Do you know why I'm saying that? The British first came here in 1894. They governed Uganda about 62 or something years. We've been governing ourselves by tomorrow 53 years, so a minimum of 110 years, but we are still naked. This is the whole point. We are grown, we are still naked. Suppose in Kenya tomorrow, I hope she won't do that, because you said the vehicle is not going to go through here to Uganda, right? All these things from outside. Either we fight the Kenyans, or we import the thing through by airplane. Suppose in Kenya, Tanzania also says, no, you're going to. What are you going to? What am I saying? I'm saying this, that you must think very seriously about the future of Uganda.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, let's look at the people of Uganda, their behaviors, the manners now, the ethos, the training, the grooming. What is it that we're lacking as a country? We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamar. My guest tonight is former Minister and former Katikkiro of Buganda, the Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi. You walked us the journey of Uganda, the promise of independence, the tumultuous 70s and the 80s, and now we are here.
Yeah.
I see a big difference between the people of your type. People like you, people like Apollon Sivambi, Professor, people like Dr. Hakana Rugunda, they seem to have been groomed in a manner that we have missed the majority of Ugandans. So what is it that went missing? Is it the parenting? Is it the education? Is it the lack of grooming?
First of all, just tell me, what is the current character?
When I said I have to meet you at 10:30, despite the jam and everything else, and you're an old man. You made it at that time.
Yeah.
Many Ugandans of my age, they would struggle. So if timekeeping is an issue, is a big issue, you can actually tell the character of a human being and how organized that human being is. But you can make it. Many Ugandans cannot. So where have we failed?
I think it starts in homes.
Our homes.
Well, how we are brought up. Schools, primarily. Because most of us, you see, you'd go to school about age 5 or age 5 or 6. All right? Now these days, you go to, what do you call this? Primary, not primary, kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
At the age of 2. And from the age of 2, by the time you go to Makerere, you're about 19 or 20. All that time, you were under the influence of other people. Teachers. Now, the teachers must take the responsibility. The tutor, they look after these children at a very, very tender age. They should be able to give them the tuition, the whatever, character building. If they don't, this is what you get now.
So a Ugandan child is spending about 21 years or 22 years
Precisely.
outside home in a school.
Precisely.
So what happened to our schools?
Now, when you are talking about an old man as against you people, I went to school at the age of about 5.5 in Budu. The school was called Kabungo. All right?
Deep in Masaka there.
Precisely. Age of 5.5.
That was quite early then.
Precisely. Now, Monday, you're taught a religious lesson. Don't steal. Tuesday, another one, religious. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those are 5 lessons a week. On Sunday, you must go to church in the morning and in the afternoon. They had to do that for 12 years until I went to King's College, Budo.
But you know what?
You know?
You cannot say we lack religious institutions. We have so many religious people. We have so many churches. If you went today at every street corner of Uganda, you'd find people preaching and praying at lunchtime, in the evening, and all that. We have multiplied in numbers. How come it is not affecting our morals?
It's not necessarily the quantity, but the quality of the content, what is preached. You follow me? You may have many churches. Let me tell you this. It really hurts me. Yesterday, I read in one of the local papers, a pastor had whatever, was it sort of, had played foul, these sexual things, with a woman. I'm not saying I'm holy. I'm simply saying, even at that level, it is true. Right? This is what it means. You call yourself a pastor, but you are not, in fact. What am I saying? The religious institutions.
So would you say your school days in Budo and your school days in
Kako
and
whatever
underpinned your moral life? Because at one time you also went to Oxford. You're among those you went to Oxford and got a scholarship, among the first.
Yes.
How was that? Budo and Oxford. How did that shape your life?
How did it shape my life? You see,
your character, in
the teachers were that good. I mean, character-wise. Even at that time, King's College, Budo was under the Church of Uganda. What am I saying? We must be ready to have content, morality based on God, and also on culture. What am I saying, culture? If a lady, all right, left a child aged about 4 and 4.5, I call her Mayanja, you know, but that lady had left some roasted groundnuts in a cupboard there. The lady went out. I came back and found Namayanja having, eating. He would say, what are you eating in Namayanja? Binyebwa, groundnuts. Who gave them to you? And she would set this child, never again, never eat anything which not been given to you. Then the child would grow knowing that that's the way. But if simply kept quiet, the child would probably even start stealing which had done before. So, homes are very important to bring up children. And much more, the schools.
But, okay, now, let us look this. You're talking about parenting and then, of course, instilling those manners,
Yeah.
you know, at a time when doing what I would call mental programming at another age.
Precisely.
But now, you are a practicing lawyer.
Yes.
There are so many lawyers in town today. We hear some allegations that some are in the trade for just money. In you, the land friends, your colleagues, some of them have scars around them.
I'll tell you, I'll ask this question, based on what I've been saying. Where did they go to school?
Here in Uganda.
Precisely the same sort of schools. So they are part of the whole thing. You see? But as a lawyer, we are supposed to be officers of the court, in the sense that we're supposed to help the judge or magistrate to arrive at the just, case, because to help him or her execute justice. If you are a lawyer, you play games and you defeat that objective of government, and of government, of objective of the courts, then I would say to you, you are not a good lawyer.
So, education aside, if we go into leadership, are we seeing the Ugandan young leaders being groomed to take up positions? Because it appears to me that the Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi and the group were groomed, trained, and prepared for leadership. But now, that training and that grooming is non-existent.
Now, when I was at Oxford, I studied what is called PPE, Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. But I specialized in economics, all right, monetary economics, whatever, public finance, and when I came here, I was made Minister of Finance, and even I was preparing myself. What I'm saying is this, that we don't have a school here to prepare leaders as such. But character of people, ethics, don't steal, don't do the other. And also yourself, all right, you've gone to school or university. What have you got out of that? Let me tell you something which I don't like to say. About 2 weeks ago, some professor, don't ask me who or from where he came, he told us, I was here, about 5 of us, that we are wondering where Uganda would be 20 years from now. And this professor said to us, do you know, someone brings a pistol, or he said a gun, and said to a professor or a teacher, lecturer, I want marks. So because of the situation, he's given the marks. This fellow goes and become, he gets his sort of his as a graduate. And he feels good about it. We would not feel good about it the way we are brought up. You've been talking about professors, professors in Sibam and all those people. We are brought under different system. I've heard, I don't know, of someone paying for somebody to do the exams for that someone, because the other person, the clever one, he passes or she passes the papers, and the other one who pays the money is the graduate. What is going on? I'm not saying everybody is doing that. I'm saying the jam is there, and we must beware of it. In 1963, a few months after independence, a fellow came, who was a Muganda actually, he's now dead. He was made Minister of Education, all right? But he got his doctorate in the United States. In the United States, the state is the state, and the churches are churches. So he came here, I think, introduced that sort of thing. So this thing of national schools, which is being a school,
church-based, faith-based,
church-based, that spirit went down. It started there, as far as I'm concerned. I was Minister of Education in this government from 1986 to 1989. I met two bishops, one Catholic, Rubaga, the other one Protestant, Namirembe. They are moving together. I said to them, look, you push me from behind as Minister of Education, right, so that I can go to cabinet and do something about, introducing more religious sort of education. You know what they did? They looked sort of worried about this. They were not concerned. And in 1989, the president moved to meet the Minister of Constitutional Affairs. What am I saying? This issue you are raising is an important one, but very few people were about it.
So now we have many universities, which is a good thing.
Very good.
But we seem to be focusing more into the academia than giving Ugandan the skills. As an example, we had Busitema Agriculture Institute that was wonderful. We had the Chambogo Polytechnic that was giving skills, and so many. But each and every small vocational institute has been turned into a university. How will Uganda, in your view, develop without people who are skilled to do things that are needed in society?
You know, when he mentioned Chambogo, I smiled.
Why?
Because I was the villain of the piece. Because I made Chambogo University.
You're the one?
Yes, as the Minister of Education. Because I didn't say to them, you leave the technology. No, you increase the technology. At that time, Mbarara University.
For science and technology.
Precisely, it was again me. Because I saw at that time, and the cabinet saw at that time, that technology was important. Still now, it's important. So, the system must have technology, must have all these things go together. Unless we do that, we cannot.
But has it gone to has it become what you wanted it to be?
Not yet. No. The reason is, why then? Well, those who are there. I was so happy, you see, recently when I read in the papers that some students in Makerere had made sort of a vehicle of whatever. Did you read that? Isn't it wonderful? Young people, young undergraduates making a vehicle in Makerere. This is what we want. But, as I say, I think the government must put in more effort. I understand that recently the Minister of Education, they're going to build technical colleges in every sub-county. But the question is, what content? What are they going to be teaching there?
As we wind up, Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi, the issue of moral decadence and the issue of graft that is everywhere, and you know, the behavior of Ugandan that seem to be, people no longer have respect. People no longer have values. So how do we come back?
Well, me, as far as I'm concerned, being a Christian, and by the grace of God I'm born again, I would say let's go back there. First principles. We're going to preach more of Christ, more of it. But secondly, must not just preach it, but practice what we preach. For the government, you know the Baganda say, I say first in Uganda here, meaning that if you are given to that, you've got the responsibility, you take it on, then do it. The government must be in the vanguard, the front line of seeing precisely where do we go.
Okay.
The government.
You said if you had to write a book about post-independent Uganda, you would call it, what title would you give it?
Just like if you put it, the English would say, out of fire, out of, what is it? From the frying pan. It's from the frying pan
to the fire.
Into the fire.
The Latin word was saying.
I was saying, ex imperio in servitium. Out of empire, imperialism, into servitude.
But we seem to have stagnated in servitude. Thank you very much, Honorable Joash Mayanja Nkangi is an incredible man who has served Uganda so well. A distinguished son of Uganda. We've been so humbled and so grateful that you've made time to talk to us. You've definitely added value.
Thank you,
to
my
understanding
dear. God bless you.
Thank you. Good night, and God bless Uganda. Happy Independence Day.
Patrick.